First is an AI pigeon on a toilet, also known as Skibbity Pigeon, and it's listed as a Pigeon Sereno's lost brother. I don't know who Pigeon Sereno is. Probably a nice guy. Don't know. Welcome back to Privy. Privy is a podcast about bathrooms, recorded from my home bathroom. I'm your host, Hunter Hoover, and I love bathrooms. Welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year. We've made it. 2026. You know, I think 2025 is one of those years that people like 30 to 40 years ago, when they were making like sci-fi and futuristic movies and stuff, they were like, oh, we'll have it set in 2025. Like, that date's surely not real. It's unfathomable that we could ever make it that far. And here we are, you know, and people have said already the Back to the Future spiel of like, we don't even have hoverboards yet, but like, yeah, the future is now, and turns out it's not that much different than it was yesterday. We're kicking off 2026, and we've got a lot in store for the year, and a little bit of things that have changed for me. So at the end of 2025, not a New Year's resolution because it began so much earlier than New Year's, really, but I began to eat just a lot of salad. And what's interesting is, you know, frequent listeners of the show will note that my bathroom constitution was less than solid. I've complained a multitude of times on the show about how my sitch is less solid than is often desirable. And I was a little worried that when I began my salad journey that it would really further liquefy something that was already very liquefied. And I'm here to tell you that that is not at all what happened. What actually happened is the salad somehow came full circle on the thing and solidified much of my jobs. It's really nice. We're looking forward to a lot on the show this year. I always say that we're working on stuff, and we are. We will be celebrating our 200th episode later this year, so stay tuned. And we want to continue to try new things. Sometimes trying new things means diving into things and source material and ideas that you don't really understand. And so this month, the month of January, we're going to be spending time trying to understand things that we don't get. And so this is really difficult for me because it's tough. Normally I kick off the new year with like New Year's resolutions and how those resolutions affect our bathrooming, but I've decided not to do that this year. And in this episode, we're going to go outside my comfort zone and take a deep dish, full on Pizza Hut Book It program personal pan deep dish pizza. If you know, you know. If you ever did Book It back in the day, you get it. I wish they still did Book It. They still do Book It, but like individual teachers and schools have to enroll, and a lot of them just don't want to do the work to keep track of the Book It. But here we are. Personal pan deep dish Book It. We're taking a deep dish dive into the world of brain rot. Father, forgive us, for we have strayed far from you. If you heard the sentence prior to the music transition there and had no idea what the sentence "we're diving deep into brain rot" meant, first of all, God bless you. I envy you as a person. I envy the idea that I might not know what brain rot is. But before we dive into the quote-unquote brain rot of the day, it probably serves to pin down exactly like a definition of what brain rot is. And the reason that it's good to do that is because brain rot is not what people have just come to call brain rot today. So define brain rot. Brain rot was listed as the word of the year in 2024. And what's curious is since it had been crowned word of the year, the idea of what is brain rot has changed significantly. Brain rot, yeah. Back when it won word of the year, the term quote unquote brain rot referred to the condition or the experience of fatigue, mental decline, or sluggishness due to the exposure of online media that is of low quality or to other frustrating online material. So it was more describing a phenomenon, the feeling you feel when you've spent too long scrolling on the internet, seeing just stupid stuff. Particularly the feeling that you feel when you scroll too long, seeing like low quality videos and just like nonsensical stuff. I think of back and we're going to talk about who brain rot is really aimed toward here in a little bit. I think we already know, but every generation has its own version of brain rot. So about a year and a half ago, brain rot was more of a condition. It was a description of a state of being for a person. You had or were experiencing brain rot. But the concept of brain rot has actually been around for a really long time. Without using the internet right now, listener, welcome to this Privy space. I know you're probably listening on a podcatcher where you're but a handful of clicks or taps away from opening an internet search browser of some sort, or maybe even speaking into your phone and asking Bigsby or Siri or whatever the heck you're using out there to go and fetch this information for. I'm going to beg you not to. If I asked you up here, right at the front, what the first decade that the term brain rot was used in, what would you say? This is little Dora the Explorer call and response. I imagine you driving down the interstate being like, "Oh, the 70s," and responding to me. If you did that, listener, I love you and thank you. But if I told you, you would never get it. If I told you, did you guess the 50s? I know. Just now. And you're thinking to yourself, man, that is actually crazy that it's been around 75 plus years. Sips tea in preparation to drop a fat load. What if I told you it was the 1850s? In 1854, Henry David Thoreau wrote a book titled Walden. It is reported that in his book, Thoreau is thinking about the materialism and the way people tend to prefer trivial ideas. To that I say to Thoreau, I'd say, brother, if only you knew how high that idea would fly. He proposed that these trivial ideas or nonsensical waste of time thoughts would, in time, if someone spent too much time reflecting on them, they would befall a condition that he called brain rot in 1854. Little could Thoreau know that this term would be used to describe the mental decline of people due to the effects of low-quality online media. It's been around a long time. Over 170 years it's been around. The idea of brain rot is not new. The idea that if we think on lowly things and we spend our time wasting our thoughts with trivial ideas, that it will rot our brain is not a new one. But he was noting that there was a decline in the intellectual standards of the day due to the attention given to things don't matter. That could, honestly, that sentence, the mental decline due to giving attention to things that do not matter, could be the tagline pretty much from like probably forever, but for sure the mid 2000s all the way up until present day. Like 2005 onward probably could be used to describe these decades. This idea of brain rot was really related to its original 1854 definition, but it popped up again moving into the 2000s and the digital and internet age. It's wild. It became used to describe low-quality TV and internet shows, cheaply in mass-produced video games, and the term for just being chronically online. If you're just online, you are a product of brain rot. The idea of brain rot became a meme in 2023 and 2024, which is how it landed its space and its place in the word of the year 2 years ago. As people spent more and more time online, they became more and more associated with the processes of being so. It kind of seeped into their mannerisms and lingo. The way they spoke online and the things that they dwelt on online seeped into their day-to-day lives here in the quote-unquote real world. Welcome to the real world, Privy listener. Make sure you go touch grass. 2026 is the year of touching grass. I'm going to say it now. 26 is Privycast's year of touching grass. We're going to read some books. We're going to eat more vegetables. We're going to touch some grass in 2026. Touching grass and whooping. All right. And people spent more and more time online. Their mannerisms and lingo kind of melded. This brain rot was an observed aspect of overexposure to online media, particularly to cheaply made internet media and internet content. We got to get some more content. Content. I can't hear the word content and not like hear it as if it's said through somebody like they have a cold. Brain rot, the decomposing of our mental state due to dwelling on these things too long. In 2024 is commonly referred to this mental decline, but something shifted in the definition during this time. And it went from describing the thing that happens to a person's brain to describing the specific type of media that is clearly related to and associated with causing those types of responses. This idea that brain rot is the actual noun of the things that cause the condition brain rot has also been called the enshittification of the internet. Now, listener, I'm sorry. I didn't coin the term, encrapification, if you will, but I didn't make it up. It's just a term. But or like posting garbage, just making everything on the internet low quality, which is actually just posting and sharing trash content. But this content in time actually took on its own like sort of genre. It became known as brain rot. Specifically the things that make your mental state poor are a waste on the mental space they use up. In short, it's just stupid stuff. Some of the earliest brain rot can be found in online series like Annoying Orange. I think of the days where I used to watch the Narwhal video. And if you've ever seen the Narwhal video, you probably just began to sing it to yourself right now. One of these key features of brain rot in all these cases is it's exceptionally loud, it's exceptionally over the top, the characters are very annoying. It's this idea that if something is loud and over the top and absurd, then it has to be funny. Formats where this could be propagated really caused things to pop off. While YouTube and Twitch were big for people to play into the brain rot kind of culture, ask yourself, when was the last time you were watching some young person on Twitch and they're just screaming about the video game they played? They feel like it's like they're gonna explode a lung, that they're howling so hard about Fortnite Battle Royale. And that's because of this brain rot culture where, you know, it has to be like, bah, 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 like that. It's like, hey, chill out, buddy. Like, these teens need to chill. Kids gathered in online games like Minecraft and Roblox and Fortnite. And as they did, and as they begin to make, we talked a little bit about this when we talked about Skibbity Toilet a year or so ago. More on Skibbity in the future. But as they began to meet and gather and make their own videos in these spaces, something curious happened. The brain rot culture and all of the dances and all of the stupid lingo and all of the things seemed to propagate and grow with it. They started to port dances and lingo into the real world and vice versa. It took on a language of its own. Brain rot. If you've ever heard a young person say skibbity Ohio rismus and all that, yeet skeet bon appetit, you know what I'm saying? That's what we're talking about here. It's just flipping nonsense words that are strung together, but somehow they do mean something to somebody. Kids would, much like we talked about when we discussed Skibbity Toilet, would make videos telling stories and doing all sorts of brain-rotting things while in the game of Fortnite or Minecraft or Roblox or, Gary's Mod, all of these various things they would do these things in. They would use a feature called screen capture to record themselves doing them and then voice record over the top of it. They were the creators of their own brain rot videos. Dances and emotes and brain rot became a part of Generation Z and Generation Alpha's lingo. Pair that with being online a lot during COVID-19, it was a recipe for a big, big mess. The phrases and things some of these creators said were as nonsensical as the videos, but it got picked up and put into the kind of cultural lingo, the zeitgeist. Once a couple hip, young, cool YouTube adults scream it into the microphone while they die sucking at video games, the rot catches on. They caught the rot, you know what I'm saying? Other games like Among Us, this loud, over-the-top, overstimulating random nonsense came to a head online in videos paired with loud party music and edits on edits on edits on edits. And we looked at this. Thanks to Bizer King, Dom, yes, yes. Parents, if you're listening, and you heard the last few minutes of my rant there, you're like, I didn't understand everything he said. I've been up to my neck in this, trying to do some research for you. The brain rot is a lot. But the Bizer King's noise, anyway, here you go. And what's weird is this generation of kids who likes this, and this over the top, this loud, this flashy, this constant, this generation that likes this is the same generation of kids who are walking around Walmart wearing headphones because Walmart's too stimulating. They're the same kids who, like, if the movie theater is too loud, they need to pull out their earpieces and put them on. This is the same generation who should be excused from certain activities because they're undesirable to them, because it's overstimulating to them. And there are people who have sensory problems. But if a whole generation of kids all has a heightened level of sensory problem, more so than others, something needs to change about things. And we should ask ourselves why these sensory problems exist. Like, if me talking as I walk through Walmart is too triggering and overstimulating for a child, but some deranged freak yelling Skibbity Ohio on the internet right into their ears isn't, that seems sus like woofy to me, if you know what I'm saying. If you want to put up with some racket, you sure seem to be able to. Seems like a bit task avoidant, and maybe all the iPad kids should get the heck over all the loud noises. Your iPads are turned too far up anyway, kids. Turn them down right now. Go ahead and reach up. Turn your device down. Parents, if you're listening, go into your kids' settings, lock their volume. Kids are pissed. If you want to put up with something, you sure will. And when you don't, you won't even try. As the internet stars grew, new lingo emerged. Gat, phantom tax, barking, chat. Gosh, I don't know who the frick chat is, but chat's been in my house for a while. Like, we're summoning chat out of nowhere. It's like, yo, chat. Who the flip is chat? W Riz. This podcast has woofy Riz, I think, is the way that they would say it. I guess we did try this with woofy, but woofy's a bit different. Woofy's one of those, like, if you know, you know. And the goal in all of this is to just be like, what do we have to say to fill the silence? Phantom Tax, Barking Chat, Sigma, Skibbity Ohio, 6-7. Like, shut the frick up for a second. Okay? Just let there be quiet for just a moment. Subway Surfer videos, where the real video play is next to a sped up version of someone playing Subway Surfer. Why watch one video when you can watch two? And you listen to a totally different audio that's neither of these set to these videos at the same time. Like, it's mindless. Or perhaps the term brain rot is more appropriate. The research about all this is not great either. Pretty much, the more kids spend on a screen, the more retarded they tend to be in act. And I'm probably going to, there's going to be somebody out there that's like, oh, Hunter, you cannot. But like, I mean, like their skills and their adaptability and their cognitive are behind where it could be if they had less time on those things. It's the year of touching grass. I don't mean it as a derogatory term. I mean it as a technical term. But all this, everything we've talked about so far, what you're going to find out is baffling. Is that is not actually, when kids are talking about brain rot, that's not actually what they're talking about today. If you ask a young person, particularly in elementary or early middle school, to tell you about brain rot, they're going to do something absolutely fascinating to you. If you ask a young person about brain rot, they're going to tell you about all these strange creatures, and they're going to say things that aren't English as a means of describing them. As the AI craze swept the internet, it was only a matter of time. I will note, it's fun to go into AI and have it make me some weird images. I remember fondly of going and having it generate like pictures and the such, you know. I remember one time we were screwing around and it's like, oh, we should definitely see if we can generate like SpongeBob, fighting in World War whatever. And it will. And it'll do a pretty good job of it too. That's the thing. And so it is fun to go in and do those AI things. But it's mindless. People did this. And they would make some very strange and surrealist images that were at the same time totally absurd. Like when you look at them, they just completely rot, if you will, your brain. Some examples of this include a shark wearing sneakers, a wooden bat-shaped man holding a baseball bat, a crocodile head attached to an attack bomber plane. These are stupid. And in short, and I think that's the idea. Like, I think that's what makes them brain rot, but it also is what makes them liked by kids. They took these images and they sort of gave them vaguely Italian or Latin language sounding names. And as such, these began to be called what is known as Italian Brainrot, or Brainrot today, referring to a specific type of character who is surreal and strange, as well as the name that accompanies that character. An example is the brainrot Tralalero Tralala, which vaguely sounds Italian, but really doesn't seem to fit the image, which is a shark with legs, or fins, who is wearing like blue Nikes on some of the fin feet. It has no connection, really. Like, I'm telling the truth, the idea is as much brain rot as is the actual thing. In one of the images, it looks like the shark only has 3 legs, not 4. It's super weird. It's clearly AI. But the shark bloke, this Tralalero fella, is the first of these brain rots. And the thing is, a lot of these characters are kind of fun. I'm gonna bear my honesty here a second. They're kind of unique in the sense that like they're very clearly generated by some iPad kid. They're dumb, but the characters are harmless. But as with most things on the internet, there are people out there who will waste no time in making something that's just silly and stupid into something bad. Some have taken these characters and written stories and animated short videos with them with Italian words. Trouble is, Many of these stories and the Italian translations are much, much less than kid-friendly. And while most of these kids don't understand it, if they're running around quoting parts of the Italian Brainrot lore, and they're running like, and they just keep rapping it out, there could be more going on to what they're saying. This is why it's important to encourage young people. Don't say something if you don't know what it means. Universal truth here. In 2026, we're going to drop some knowledge. We're going to drop some stacks this year, and we're going to drop some knowledge for you. Don't say stuff if you don't know what it means. This brain rot leaked right into other parts of culture. It only took a bit for it to catch on to the little kids and the tweens, the sound of very loud, swiftly spoken, vaguely broken Italian set to nonsensical characters who are so weird to look at and strange, and old people think it's weird and they don't like it. It made this thing even cooler. It pisses Dad off. Mom thinks it's obnoxious, so it's gotta be cool. No, Mom. It's a cat and a dog that are attached at the butt. It's cool. The brain rot is a thing, and it's just stupid. Italian brain rot is a specific awful breed of brain rot. It hit YouTube and other games like Fortnite in no time, and in fact, in November 2025, Italian Brainrot entered the featured page of Fortnite's creator-made islands with a game called Steal the Brainrot. This Brainrot thing is a thing. And again, it is stupid. And I wonder, is this how my parents and their generation and the generation before me feels about Pokemon? I mean, like when you watch the TV show, these little monsters just say their name over and over as a means of communicating. I can only totally see them not getting that either. But it's not the same. Pokemon is not brain rot. Pokemon has a purpose. Brain rots just exist. What is brain rot's purpose? What is the purpose of Italian brain rot? They seem to just exist for our frustration or enjoyment. It's a result of that posting garbage on the internet with intentionally low quality, that's loud and flashy. And none of this was really anything I cared about. And if you're here on Privy, this is a bathroom podcast. I didn't lie to you up front. I wouldn't lie to you. It's a podcast about bathrooms. And I didn't really care about any of this stuff. I was mildly irritated by it. But then my son was messing around with some of his brain rots, and that he has enticed into this laser cage in his Steal the Brain Rot game. There's a sentence. Now I looked at one of these weirdos, and I'm like, that dude looks like a toilet with some sort of a spaghetti man coming out of it. It's vaguely reminiscent of Skibbity, but it's its own unique thing. And so I decided, and I asked, I was like, are there bathroom brain rots? And my son's like, oh yeah, there's a few. But as is always the case, I took a fat dive into online listicles to figure out how many, what are the bathroom brain rots? When I did that dive, there were two things that were highly, highly troubling. The first is how many bathroom-themed brain rots exist. Many of these brain rots are the descendants of the concept behind Skibbity Toilet. First is an AI pigeon on a toilet, also known as Skibbity Pigeon, and it's listed as a Pigeon Sereno's lost brother. I don't know who Pigeon Sereno is. Probably nice guy. Don't know. He's a pigeon made of technology with siren as his beak. So there you go. Another loud, annoying pigeon. The next batch of brain rots are a group of suhoors. It's AAA suhoor. It's a toilet with a creepy mouth. Very dumb. MMM suhoor is the same, but that creepy mouth toilet has hands. Oi 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 Suhoor is really another iteration. It's similar to La Suhoor Combinación, which is thing popping out of a toilet. I don't know. Similar is BBB Sahur, which is the same thing, but instead of the face, it's on the back of a silver sink. Also, the sink has arms and hands. CCC Sahur, where the face is on a water faucet and it's not black. I Sahur is the face and arms on a bathtub, and you Sahur is a Sahur on the toilet paper. Help us. I don't even know what a Sahur is. What's a Sahur? We gotta get to the bottom of this immediately. What the flip? So a sahur is the name of a meal that Muslim people eat before dawn? That's weird. That's weird as heck. Adrian, explain our friend group. That's the name of the Brainrot. Adrian, explain our friend group. Is a urinal with human legs and tube socks with a face in the back of the urinal. Kakini apostasini is an Indonesian brainrot, which is a happy poop emoji looking thing wearing orange shoes. Cappuccino babuino is a baboon in the bathtub drinking coffee. Coccadini plumberini rencini is a poop emoji plumber who comes to fix your toilet. To get him to arrive to come and fix your toilet, you have to call, prep yourselves, kids, 767-67-67-67-67. El Constantini de la Pastini is a tube of toothpaste with a face and hands and feet. There's another that's similar, which is just the same face on a toothbrush. Trenostruzo Turbo is an ostrich crying version of Skibbity Toilet. So it's like Skibbity Ostrich. It's stupid, but it exists. Tre Tigri Triesti, also known as Toiletto Focaccino, I don't know. Focaccino is a seal wearing red glasses coming out of the toilet, but the toilet has large, very black feet. You can really put anything coming out of a toilet and call it whatever skibbity whatever. There's James Toilet this. James Toilet. This is a realistic human face on a toilet with large feet. And the thing is by the time you hear this episode, the things that I've already told you, the bathroom brain rots that I've already told you, and there's probably more of them now. I wrote, and this was written before the new year, recorded shortly into the new year. You're hearing it just less than a week into the new year, and there's probably new brain rots that are bathroom themed and related that I don't even know about. They're always making them. In fact, I decided that I'm going to get on the internet and try my hand at making a brain rot. I would like to now introduce to you for the first time what I would like to call Podcastini Toiletini, or Professor Podcastini Porcellini, whichever one you'd like. So this is Podcastini Porcellini. There he is. There he is. Podcastini Porcellini. Professor Podcastini Porcellini. You seeing him there for the first time. It's enough of that. No more brain rots. And now, before we go, I wanted to kick the year off with a very special installment of Who in the News? This Poo in the News was sent to us by a friend of the show and former guest, Titus Domini. And he sent this to me, and as I read it, it'll become very clear why this was chosen to kick off our year in podcast news and bathroom news. This is from Unilad, which, and the title, the caption is, Pastor claims he can heal people by farting on their faces, using God's power. Unilad says a pastor has gone viral after claims surfaced that he, quote, heals people by farting on their faces, something he reportedly says is done through God's power. Videos and posts online show followers lying on the floor as the pastor positions himself over them, but he hasn't publicly addressed the controversy. Believers say it's part of a spiritual ritual. Well, my favorite thing about this is at the top of the replies, because I follow them, is Dude Wipes, who just said, what? Like, well said, Dude Wipes. The pastor's name is Pastor Penelope, it looks like. He's a Pastor Penelope here. When he heard about criticism against this, which I will levy my bathroom feedback and then my spiritual biblical feedback. Yeah. It's just the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. But he says that he, quote, doesn't fart on people, he heals them. Now, here's the thing. We're not going to get into this anymore. This is short and sweet, and I'll wrap this up. Titus, thank you for sending me this. It's absolutely ridiculous. First of all, right out of the gate, Penelope, you're not a pastor. You're a crook. You're a sexual deviant weirdo who is like getting some sort of a spiritual manipulation and a physical manipulation out of this. This is fake. This is stupid. And yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just levy that criticism. So you can go ahead and quit. You're not a pastor. You're a sexual deviant weirdo. And as far as the bathroom goes, yeah, farts don't heal people. They don't. Trust me, I would never be sick if that were the case. So, you know what? Nothing has made me want to be off the internet more than that news story and the discussion of Brainrot. This brings us to the end of another episode of Privy. Thank you so much for being here. Happy New Year again. If you would, please kick off your new year by leaving us a rating and review. It's a couple of taps in the Spotify or Apple Podcast app, and every rating and review you leave, it helps people find the show, but we're also donating $1 to Wounded Warriors and Living Water International as a reminder to keep pooping in the free world. This free world is not always free, and in pursuit of cleaner water for all. Not everybody has it, but everybody should. You can find info for both of those in the links down below. Leave us a rating review. It just takes a second. Check us out online, privy-cast.com. Send us an email, privycast@gmail.com. You can follow us at Privycast on all the social media. You can follow me. I'm at Owlet7. Go check out the stuff that we're doing online and the things we got going on out there in those spaces. We want to thank Kevin and Poddington for the use of their music this week. Thanks to whoever's else music that we used out of the free YouTube music library. You can find links down below to any of the music that we used in the show this week. This brings us to the end of another episode of Privy. Keep pooping in the free world. Stay away from the brain rot. And if you pass your farts in your face, it's time to run. Get out of there. And now, as always, don't forget to flush.